chat, is it cringe to actually love something with your whole heart? Fellas, is it cringe to express how you really feel? Why are men so scared to be silly? Have you ever seen a grown man try and have fun and immediately apologize for it? Like he just laughed too hard and too loud at brunch and had to be like, oh, sorry, bro, I don't know what came over me. Yeah, that's because somewhere along the way, we, as dudes, were told that being silly is embarrassing. Uncool, not what a man does. Feminine, gay, or dare I say, weird? So there are many of us that became these sarcastic, ironic, too cool to care dudes who secretly wish we could dance the Chapel Roan in the kitchen without shame. Well, today, we're breaking the cycle because embracing your weird isn't just healing, it's powerful, like a double weight back squat for your soul. Let's go. Welcome to SillyGooseEQ, the show where we ask, you good, bro? I'm Zeke Rodriguez-Thomas, emotional intelligence evangelist, zesty straight, and guy who's tapped out more ego than opponents in my long but uneventful amateur MMA career. I also happen to be your resident Silly Goose. Today, we're talking about the Silly Goose era, what it is, why it matters, and why giving yourself permission to be ridiculous might be the best thing you ever do for your emotional well-being. Because let's be honest, being serious all the time is exhausting. That performative coolness, that hyper-masculine stoicism, that's not strength. For me, that's emotional constipation. And nobody PRs when they're emotionally blocked. If the all-powerful algorithm sent you here, please subscribe so that you never miss a video about demystifying emotional intelligence for men in their 30s, 40s, and 50s from hopefully a comedic point of view. I love talking about this stuff with my friends, so I figured you might too. Join me every 2 weeks and consider becoming a channel member as well. Oh, and make sure you stay until the end where you'll get your top secret Silly Goose assignment that just might help you on your journey. Okay, back to the show. Okay, concept number 1, the irony shield. Welcome to Too Cool to Care Anonymous, weekly meetings on Zoom. Bring your own sarcasm. Ha. God, what a dick. I used to hide behind irony like it was body armor. I'd be like, oh yeah, I love musicals, but like, I don't know, ironically. Bro, if you know every song from The Sound of Music, you don't like it ironically. You're a theater kid, but you're in denial.
Doe, a deer, a female deer.
Irony is safe, and silliness is vulnerable. And vulnerability is where connection lives. If you ever want to connect with someone, it helps to be vulnerable. But that vulnerability is scary for a lot of us. Here's the sciencey part. This is what psychologists call a cool pose, a performative mask that men adopt to avoid emotional vulnerability. The cool pose concept originated from the works of sociologists Richard Majors and Janie D. Bilson, who studied African-American inner-city youth. Their research highlighted how these young men developed and utilized the cool pose as a coping mechanism and a way to express their manhood in a racially charged environment. What does a cool pose look like? I'm glad you asked.
Are you gonna do a cool pose?
Oh, burn! I thought that was so cool.
You guys are such dicks. I love it so much.
So cool.
All right. Well, now that I've just demoed what a cool pose looks like, here's what it actually is supposed to be. It involves a set of behaviors, mannerisms, and gestures aimed at projecting an image of strength, control, resilience, particularly in the face of social hierarchy and other forms of discrimination. The cool pose has clear roots in the black male experience, but its crossover into the broader male experience of, I don't know, growing up in the 80s, 90s, and 2000s was a hallmark of my experience and many men my age. We were told implicitly, or sometimes explicitly, to maintain composure, project confidence, navigate social situations effectively, because that's what men do. So many of us, including myself, I prioritize not drawing attention to myself in the quote-unquote wrong ways. Don't be too weird, have the right haircut, play these sports, only do these activities. These are the brands that we wear, and this is how we act around other men. And if you don't comply, you might get roasted, or worse yet, ostracized.
Run if you know it's good for you!
As a kid being raised in lily white Manhattan Beach, I attracted a fair amount of attention by being half Brazilian, being named Zeke, woof, and then, of course, being the shortest kid in almost every single class I was ever in. It didn't feel great. So in return, I decided to adopt my own version of a cool pose, being selectively weird and secretly wishing I could just be like all the other Johns, Mikes, Matts, and Tylers in the world, because somehow they seem to have it all figured out. In hindsight, it kind of sucked. I was a weird kid, and I was embarrassed by my family, our culture, my name, any number of things. And at the end of the day, I wasn't able to truly be myself until much later in life. Nowadays, when I see kids dressing weird for school, or wearing costumes to class, or kids travel baseball teams that have more riz and style than most pro athletes, it genuinely makes me so happy. I wish I had the confidence to have been myself, or even the permission from my parents to just publicly embarrass myself through my own weirdness. But I was constantly balancing my inner desire to express my weirdness with my overwhelming desire to somehow also fit in and not draw attention. Millennial and Gen X parents seem to have course corrected pretty well, and I'm here for it. For me, it wouldn't be until I got to college that I really let my freak flag fly. Such a waste of a childhood, am I right? Joy is risk. When you risk looking dumb, you're actually practicing bravery. The same kind it takes to say, I love you, or I need help, or yes, I did attempt to make gluten-free sourdough, and yes, it does taste like a brick.
Suck brick, kid!
Us dudes are often taught that emotional expression equals weakness. That's precarious manhood theory at work. Masculinity is something that you prove over and over again. And so when you laugh too loudly in public or do finger guns in public, that's a social danger and could affect how you're being received. It's like you're constantly playing defense in case some unnamed assailant would point you out for being weird and shout, "Hey, that guy likes something outside of our accepted societal and/or gender norms. Get him!"
Get him!
That's precarious manhood theory, and it suggests that in many cultures, manhood is viewed as an achieved status, meaning it must be actively earned or defended rather than ascribed status like womanhood. It also implies that manhood is easily lost and requires constant public demonstration to maintain.
I am all that is man.
This theory also says that when men feel that their manhood is threatened, they may react with heightened aggression, risk-taking, or other behaviors that reinforce their masculinity. As a relatively small person, I felt the constant need to prove my masculinity through any number of aggressive or risk-taking behaviors. I felt like if I didn't prove my masculinity on a regular basis, it would diminish over time. So I really pursued risky behaviors. Some of them were kind of tame, like surfing and snowboarding, and then others like binge drinking or like crippling drug addiction or high-risk sexual behaviors were like less than ideal. It's fine. It's fine. I hit my bottom, I got into recovery, and now I'm sober and married again, and I continue to address my soul sickness through action and the maintenance of my spiritual condition a day at a time. More on that in another episode. But that's all to say, a lot of my actions were also tied up in ego in the illusion of masculinity. Like I was doing an impression of someone with high self-esteem, but really confusing it with ego and fear. Nowadays, I don't do much outwardly aggressive stuff. You won't see me taking off on huge waves outside of my skill set or revisiting the half pipe at Mammoth. But I do take a lot more chances socially. Like, if you've ever been to a wedding reception or a dance party and no one is on the dance floor, you can bet I will be the first one out there. My mom and the rest of the cariocas imbued me with the desire to dance. And I do it for me, I do it for my people, but most importantly, I do it for you. People are starving for someone to go first. You being goofy is basically emotional leadership. Concept 3, the goose is the goal. Be the goose you wish to see in the world. During my bachelor party, my buddy Maxim told me, Zeke, when you're being goofy, I feel safer being myself. You're ushering in our Silly Goose era. And I was like, oh damn. Like, that's it. That's the Silly Goose effect. You being playful gives other people permission to drop the act, right? It also helped me dial in the direction of this YouTube channel that you're watching right now.
Ah, cool pose.
To bring it back to the sciencey part, Dr. Stuart Brown calls this the science of play. Play reduces stress, it builds connection and rewires the brain for joy. Dr. Brown's work emphasizes that play is not just a pastime, but a fundamental aspect of human nature with profound implications for our well-being, our development, and even the health of our societies. So maybe I'm trying to make society writ large a better place by being weird. So by having long hair, painting my nails, and wearing Speedos and spandex wherever possible. Wait, guys, do I just want to be a pro wrestler?
Yeah, obviously.
Like all the time?
Yes. You missed your calling. We've talked about this.
Okay.
But you can wear spandex and Speedos at home anytime. I don't mind.
Real life examples with a comedic twist. My improv career. I did improv and sketch comedy in LA for 20 years, and I had some of the most epic shows and some of the worst bombings in the history of comedy. Sometimes within the exact same show. I'm so grateful for the experience as it has shaped my career and my sense of humor. But the most important thing it did for me, it taught me to be fearless. Like, you gotta take chances.
Yeah, I know. I gotta believe.
Silliness is contagious, and some of my favorite moments were making audiences cackle with some of the most absurd suggestions that the audience gave us. Our regular audience members saw me for who I really was, a silly, hopeful, funny man who loved making people laugh. And now one of those regulars is my wife, Kelly. That's right. The first time she ever laid eyes on me, I was being a silly goose on an improv stage, and I've never felt more seen or understood in a relationship.
Aw.
Get a room.
Okay, example 2, silliness in romantic relationships. My wife and I are two weird people who really enjoy each other's company. We dance in the kitchen while cooking, we dance to the intro of The White Lotus and Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and really any TV show that has any kind of music that makes us want to move. We do silly Boston accents, and we make fat jokes all the time. Honk honk. You see that? You hear that? Pack that car and have it yet. We have so much fun that we have to declare bit-free time zones when it's time to be serious. And that doesn't mean we can't be serious. We can. We just tend to knock out serious conversations relatively quickly because we feel so safe around each other, and that's all thanks to all the silliness. It also helps that my wife was raised in a silly goose family, and I was anointed a member of the flock relatively quickly. All right, example 3, vulnerability in friendships, platonic relationship. At the risk of talking about how incredibly rad my bachelor party was yet again, it was just a great reminder about the types of people I keep in my life. The vibe was immaculate. 9 of my favorite people at a beachside resort with ideal conditions that rivaled Malibu First Point. But here's the crazy part. Many of these folks hadn't met before. I had friends from production, surfing friends, gym friends, and LA is a big place where it's hard to get everybody together.
My whole family's coming in from Simi Valley. They're gonna take the 118 West to the 23 South, all the way to the Tierra Rojada Road exit. Then they'll be here.
Many of them individually expressed some anxiety about meeting some of my other good friends for the very first time. The crazy part is, it didn't take all that much middling on my part, and by the end of the weekend, they had all bonded and became great friends. So much so that the group chat is still going more than a year later. It also created friendships strong enough that they hang out without me.
Where are your friends now?
But why did this all happen? All these folks go deep and are willing to be vulnerable with each other. I have a slightly different relationship with all of them, but they all recognize that the only way to connect with each other was through the risk of, I don't know, being vulnerable.
Vulnerable?
Vulnerability in MMA. Yes, really. Even in MMA, one of the most traditionally masculine things I do, there's still room for silliness. I once celebrated tapping somebody out by yelling, "You can charge that to the game, baby!" They laughed. I laughed. And then I got tapped 30 seconds later in the exact same submission. They returned the favor. Was it worth it? 100%. I call that submission of the ego. Anyways, cool story, bro. All right, final takeaway. Silliness and play do not make you a less serious adult. It's actually scientifically necessary in having a healthy life and functioning society. In fact, it's often connected to sustainability. Play in whatever way makes you feel good, as long as you aren't negatively impacting other folks around you, of course. I'm always working to bring more joy into my life and find out what makes me happy. Usually it's finding ways to express myself, and sometimes it's dancing in between sets at CrossFit, dressing like a superhero during jiu-jitsu practice, and sometimes it's unironically growing a stupid mustache so that people mistake me for Anthony Kiedis from the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Ding-a-ding-ah! Will I get weirder and give fewer fucks about what other people think about me as I age? The answer is yes. We have just barely scratched the surface of my Silly Goose era, and I hope you join me in whatever form this takes in your life. As a reminder, I too am a work in progress. If you got something out of this video, it would mean the world to me if you shared this video with someone who could stand to loosen up a little. Could be your friend, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your husband, wife, your producer, or even a coworker. I mean, some of y'all could even share this with your kids. They could be on a path to being a serious adult.
You don't have to raise your voice.
Ugh, gross. If you haven't already, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more life advice with a side of humor, or at least an attempt at it. We're all here trying to make the world a better place while also paying our bills, and your comments and likes help us pay ours. I almost forgot your mission. Your mission this week? Do something silly. Sing badly in the car. Wear a ridiculous accessory. Dance in public. If you work out, put on a weird playlist that you normally wouldn't do. But do it joyfully. And then come back here and comment on what you did, or whatever version of a Silly Goose era looks like. I want to hear you honk about your progress. Seriously, go play, because being silly isn't childish. It's freeing, like open mat with your best friend with no pressure to win. This is SillyGooseEQ. I'm Zeke Rodriguez-Thomas, reminding you to take your mental health seriously, but to not take yourself so seriously. Be a silly goose. It's more fun that way. Shout out to all the folks who helped make this a thing. Andrew Gall is our incredible editor who spins these yarns into audio and video gold. Keita Mascaro shoots this bad boy and manages this incredible studio space at The Cave. And my darling wife, Kelly Shanley, helps produce and punch up these episodes alongside me. Links to all of them are in the show notes. Be sure to check them out. We'll see you next time, guys.